want to give all of you guys a chance. Anyone who has any comments, questions about this section, Dr. Maliat.
Thank you very much. That was a great presentation, and I'm certainly learned a few. As South Sudan investment is our core of our next government. The good news, we have been elevated now to the level of a ministry. So we're no longer an investment authority, we're going to be the Ministry of Investment. So that's really good. It happened because of a lot of work had been put on by both private and public sector. As of late, from this new government, we have identified 5 clusters. And these 5 clusters are led by Vice President. So our Vice President, that is a chair of our economic cluster, is Dr. Wani Iga. And as we speak, he has sat down with some of us to begin to draft principles of how we can develop economic policies that are going to enhance the development of our resources, as our chief speaker said earlier. So as a government, we are now putting our lots together. So the conference you are calling for, Great Lakes, we would definitely be participating at a very high level. I wanted to assure you that. We have been waiting for peace, although there has been peace in this country, but for the benefit of all, we have brought home what everyone wanted to see, which is the peace. So I don't think there is further to say than to commend and to assure that South Sudan, as a government and the people, we are so committed to take our country to where it is, to where we should be, because we are not supposed to go and begin from the beginning. We don't want to unveil the world again. We should start from where the world is. As you rightfully said, most of us are illiterate, whether it's ICT or economy or even social and connectivity. So we are well connected with ourselves and our world. So there should be no point for us to be left behind. So we're actually starting from where the world is. So I personally believe in regional blocks, because as an economist by trade, you look for market. South Sudan, people think it's a landlocked. But I think my own interpretation, we are land linked. Because these countries that are linked to us, it is for them a source. So we can actually build a very sophisticated economic zones, which actually can support the countries that are linked to us. And these resources we have, there's no way for us to outreach people unless we link out. So I appreciate the idea of making a focused conference on investment as the way forward to develop and link our resources more to the region, to the blocks, and to the world. So I thank you very much for your presentation, and I thank the chair.
Thank you very much. My name is Ambassador Sitona Abdallah Osman. I am here representing the caretaker, Ambassador Mayen Dut, the Undersecretary for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And I am really glad to be among you, and especially I see many youth in this conference. And I appreciate the all the effort has been made toward this conference, because this is a very valuable, and I appreciate your presentation because it's very educative. And I appreciate that all of us in the Republic of South Sudan, we have the idea of our resources. And we all talking about as a plenty of resources. And the guest speaker, he said, we are sitting on our resources, and that is true. But our dilemma always that we don't know how to be focused on our resources. As before in Sudan, they are very focused on the agriculture. And they say that is the backbone of the country. And they said we will be the basket of the food for the world in such years. That is the focus. But now we join the lake, is good, the region. But let us, as the South Sudan, to be also focused. What we are bringing to the lake. Because if we say we have to join all those 4 sectors, it means we will be scattered. So we don't want to be scattered. We want to be focused on 1 or 2 sectors and to work tangible on those sectors. Until we see ourselves on the name of those countries, we say, oh, the GDP of the Sudan has been increased because we have joined the lake, we have this type of investors, and that is the time we'll feel proud of ourselves. So this is just my advice, and thank you very much.
Yeah, I would like to take this opportunity to appreciate the conference, the outreach that has been led by the ICGLR. My name is Simon Okwe. I represent the South Sudan Chamber of Commerce and a long-term member of the private sector here in South Sudan. If you look at the whole investment portfolio that has been presented here, literally, we can only pick on peace as South Sudanese. A lot of those projects, energy, ICT, infrastructure, investment, are lacking behind here in South Sudan. And they all go together. So what I would wish as South Sudanese, we need to develop ways on how we can see ourselves within the ICGLR. What is it that we need to prioritize? And we do. Ambassador Sitona talked of prioritizations. What can we focus on? Is it everything? We cannot do it. These are very, very expensive projects. And as a country, we don't have that ability to do it. But if we can focus on one item that we can develop with our oil revenue, then automatically investors will be interested to solve solutions, to come with solutions that will be helping the focus area. Let's say agriculture. If we have to develop agriculture, then we need industries, and industries need energy. We'll need road infrastructure. So we cannot attract everything. We just have to pick on one thing, and you will realize the rest of the projects will replicate themselves around that particular focus. The other issue, if you look at the projects that have been presented today, there is an issue of bankability. How bankable are those projects? And before they become bankable, we need to develop a bankable document. So we will not just be talking about investment. We have this X, Y, we have minerals, agriculture, water, and you name all of them, it has to be on paper. And our Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning need to help us with that. People will not just come and put in money if you don't have a bankable document. Even if it is lucrative as you may want to wish. If you look at our gold sector, people are already investing in it, but how much are we benefiting it from? How much is coming to our national economy? How much is coming to our finance? It's because it is not well organized. The gold sector is already being exploited, yes, but it is not well organized. It's because there is no plan about it. So as much as we are rich, we have resources, we have forestry, it has to be on paper. And that paper itself is money. We will sell it to African Development Bank, we will sell it to the World Bank, we will sell it to all these. This is when we will benefit from the ICGLR projects. Otherwise, we don't have it on paper. We're using microphones to talk about it. We're using PowerPoints to talk about it. It is as good as announcement, announcing that we have minerals, but where are they? Do we know? How much do we have of those minerals? What is the quantity in the east and what is the quantity in the west or in the north? It has to be on paper. And this is, I believe, this is how the world of investment works. An investor with billions of dollars will not put his money or her money in something that is not on paper. So the government must tell us, how much do we have on paper? And then from there, investors will be interested to invest their money on that studied project. Otherwise, we are rich, yes, but we have a lot more to do. Thank you.
I think my point has been said. My name is Alwel Martin Majer, a businesswoman. And another thing that I could like to add is, before we join the Great Lake, what are the measures that the government have taken that this is the step that you are supposed to take before you join there? And this is what you should do. This is the business that you have to come up with. Like if I come up with my business and show it to you, and then I said, I need to join the Great Lake. What are the steps the government is about to take to show us this is how we should go?
I'll give you the opportunity. Let me just respond to two of the points raised there. On the issue of what is required of the entrepreneur who is South Sudanese, we are providing you a platform for you to be able to sell your project. You know, you would come and you will identify what project you want to have support for. And you, as an entrepreneur, have to have the capacity to explain how an investor will be able to recover their investment and make a profit. It's a wide open process. There is no gatekeeper between you and the investors. There are institutions that support entrepreneurs, and those have their own requirements. Those ones you can actually access, and they will tell you exactly what is required of you, and so on. But of course, the macroeconomic conditions in your own country have to be conducive for someone to come and invest. So that's why we are talking from the broader perspective to make the environment much more conducive, and then we can actually allow the entrepreneurs or give them the opportunity for them to benefit. There are 2 points raised by Simon on the issue of priorities. Of course, priorities are set by governments, and they're set in their development plans. If you look at a country like South Sudan, you cannot start talking about ICT investments in huge amounts when you don't have infrastructure. So the priority for South Sudan is to invest in infrastructure. What are the endowments of South Sudan? Arable land, and you have a small population. So you can easily address the local demand in agricultural food products and export the rest. So if I was the policymaker in South Sudan, I would be focused on agriculture and the enabling infrastructure to make that happen. Then the rest of them will come, because if you're doing export, your banking sector will automatically start to mature to make it easier for people to export. If you have built your infrastructure, the transport sector also will improve because you have the roads and the rail and the access that you have to the neighbors. So all those things will be spillover effects, but you would invest in your priorities. But of course, those things are much more better tackled through the development process that the government of South Sudan should undertake. I think they have a development plan, but that development document has to always be updated to make it relevant. The reason we are doing the outreach event is because precisely what Simon said about documenting projects. If you go to Rwanda, this idea of walking into a one-stop shop where you can register your company, but you will also be informed of the available investment opportunities. You will walk out with these things in paper, developed already by experts, with feasibility studies in many cases. So you would say, I have money, but I don't know where to invest it. You will find a development board that's ready. So that's what South Sudan needs. They need a serious development board that actually knows what is in South Sudan and what can be invested in. Thank you. We can go to the next person. Okay, let's go to the lady in the back. We'll give everyone an opportunity, but please make your comments brief.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kwe Aquila Manyon. I'm from Australia. My question, Frank, is very short. We are talking about the investment in South Sudan. And South Sudan is one of the countries it's very hard to enter because of the visa process. I came with the investors from Australia, but it took us 2 weeks to get the visa to enter them to the country. If we talk about the investment, why don't we talk about the possibilities of coming to the country so we can develop the country together? Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Gabriel there, but just to answer your question, I think that's why we are doing this, so that stakeholders like you can identify these challenges that you face as an investor and someone bringing partners. We have the representative of the Undersecretary here, and she has taken note of your comments, and that is a policy issue that should be addressed by the government of South Sudan.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. Gabriel from Hospitality. Hospitality is part of Chamber of Commerce, and we organize it. We have what we call a Hotel and Catering Association of South Sudan. So I'm representing that sector. To begin with, the presentation is quite good, and it's really inclusive, and really tackle the areas which the investment is supposed to be. I was actually asking a question to the investment man, but he has already left, so I will leave that one because it's not around. The 4 areas you talk about them, they are crucial. But our problem here, it is a policy, investment policy in the country. And to begin with, it is about the land. When you see almost 38 of hotels, they are now dormant. They're either functioning or closed for good. But they are in the name of lease agreement. When we have that land policy, the investment in the country will be very simple. And all areas we are talking about can be easily be occupied. And talking of the priorities, as you mentioned, the investment board, everybody will say, I want to go to agriculture, and you will get it, everything is in place, and you just direct. Talking of energy, before independence of 6 years, we could have enough energy. And we're supposed to have industrialization in the country. But because of energy, we don't have. And we have people who want to invest in energy, but there's no policy on the other side. Coming also, joining, this is about the clear policy on investment. Do we have it or not? That's the question supposed us to ask to that. Now again, on entrepreneurs, that's my last. Joining the Great Lake or East Africa, I will well prepare as entrepreneurs because the competition is going to be too high. And we, the business community here, we are not being empowered, seriously speaking. We are just kneeling down. And that is the facilitation supposed to be done by the government. So how are we going to survive through a competition between us and our brothers from the region, since we are young in business? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Martin Majer. I was the mayor of Bor municipality until 2 weeks ago. So I will speak to you from experience. And this point was touched by the previous speaker, and it's probably one of the most important points if we want to talk about investment, the issue of land. If the National Parliament cannot work on passing the Land Act so that we can define clearly the land policies, land ownership, then we can speak all we want and investment will become very difficult. Because the first thing an investor will ask you, where are the documents that allow me to work on this land? And for how long? We don't have an answer for this. We need to define it very clearly, and the boundaries must be very clear. Right now, people are taking advantage of the CPA clause, and then that was also added to the Constitution. The land belongs to the community, but then they forget the second part of the clause that says the government will regulate it. Right now, it's a major problem. So we need to ask the government to work on this really urgently if we are to move this country forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm really touched because of what is happening in South Sudan. I just want to say something briefly about the women entrepreneurs. First of all, my name is Jane Gordon Soro, the Executive Director for South Sudan Women Entrepreneurs Association, and also is the interim chairperson for small and medium enterprises in South Sudan. The type of women which are doing business now in South Sudan, they are all informal traders. But their resilience, because after this war, their trade is affected. So their resilience, they are doing their trade through difficulties. What I wanted to say is the capacity of these women. They need trainings like simple or basic trade management skills. And because they are informal, they are not registered, they also need to be empowered in SACCOs and Sonduk, which we have in South Sudan, so that they can get financing to support their businesses. And then the other thing is integrated into the East Africa. The women need to know about the simplified trade regime, which need to be trained for them so that they can know how they can trade across borders. Because now women are trading across borders, but they don't know the regulations of the East Africa. Recently, I chair the traders which went to Rwanda in Kigali last year. We went as, I took 13 traders who is producing shea butter, honey, and gum cassia. And then also somebody who is making the wood product, and a lady who is making this local perfume, and we got 4 awards. We became the second after Kenya with only 13 traders because our product is original and it is natural. So you can see that we have the potential, but only the capacity need to be built. And I'm appealing to this conference so that you can build the capacity of these SMEs so that they can produce more good products and quality products. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Hiro from Japanese Embassy. I'm the head of Development Corporation. I just would like to make 2 points. How the Japanese current assistance can contribute to prepare the business environment in South Sudan. The first point I'm making is the Freedom Bridge. We are not only building the construction, but also the capacity here to get ready the untapped labor forces for the as a preparation for the business environment. And we have over 250 workers working in the construction site, and over 20 of them are South Sudanese. And there are only few Japanese experts, as well as the third country experts. But what they do is we share our technologies and we share our management skills, mainly focusing on 3 things: the safety of the workers, and then the quality of the work, and lastly, the management, schedule management, timely schedule management. And those things can help those South Sudanese to get ready to be a very productive labor force in the, when the investment comes. And the second point I would like to make is that about knowing the consumers or investors' demand. That is really important. We support some agro-business projects, and what we doing in those projects is that share the spirit of quality control and stable supplies. And those 2 things we think is really important to attract the investors. If they're trying to invest, they need a high quality product and also those stable supplies from the ground. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. My name's Boy Yat. I'm a team leader of the Diaspora Desk, National Pre-Transitional Period. Surely the presentation is so inclusive, but something is missing here. I've not seen the involvement on this text of the diaspora community. We all know it very well. She mentioned important that diaspora can also be good ambassadors about the investment in our country. We all agreed that South Sudan is a land that untouched and everything is fresh. I would be grateful if the diaspora community is involved so that they are able also to advocate on our behalf.
Good afternoon. My name is Malik Gabriel Matur Malik. I came from Canada. I was about to point out about diaspora as well. It's a very great initiative that you guys are doing. And as a diaspora, we get heavily taxes. We would like to actually support if there's any way. There's another thing that needs to be done here. Empowerment of women and business, small trade business. I've been going to banks, our neighbors' banks, to try to get a loan. I told them I have a land. They don't even want to give me a loan. As South Sudanese, we should have to look into it in a different way. That we should empower our youth, we should empower women, since the women are about 75%. And even if you say you have a land, they don't get anything. So we should change this land laws. My dad was the one who actually doing this thing, and that was a mistake. The land should be belong to the government. The government should actually start to investments. Thank you.
My name is Buana Bol Bolaraj, businessman. My company is called Red Petroleum. You see, what is wrong in this conference is the timing. If we push it back to do next week when the government was formed, it was going to be best. And what I'm seeing here, Ambassador Antipas, all the ambassadors, but they cannot answer the question if I ask them. Lana is no executive of the government of South Sudan. And let me give you more information, like citizens South Sudanese. The Chamber of Commerce will talk about, they need everything to be documented. I think everything with the government of South Sudan, they have a document, included the right the citizen of South Sudan in business, what they call local content. But the implementers, so it's no issue of they don't know what they do. They think they know one to do right thing, so the people of South Sudan, they can benefit in this kind of the business inside the Sudan and outside of South Sudan. So I think we have a big problem. Another example, that's what we're facing long time ago. In 2007, the Norway helped us a lot in Ministry of Petroleum to put the document how to operate in oil company, like anywhere in the world. Where you see South Sudanese, you have to be qualified them. So there's some money that can be remain in country to help the construction of the South Sudan. Very practical. What we face is every time in oil field with the Chinese, and people complain it's the Chinese. It's not Chinese. It's not Ethiopian, it's not Eritrea. They have a godfather. And the people work with the government of South Sudan with the power. So we cannot go around. We know the realities. South Sudan, they have capacity to operate this oil field without no Chinese. If they give us the chance, start from phase 1. When we start in oil field drilling, it gives you 25% in the contract, what the tenders come out with. And next year they move 50. And then you pay Chinese slowly. But any ministry come to Ministry of Petroleum with a good program, and the crops is the same night, and tomorrow move, and then another one come with the regulation. So the issues here, we can talk 100 years, but if it's not changed by top, the leader of our country, we cannot move with the business. A lot of people have the money, but which business they need now just to go to buy the sorghum in Uganda and bring it to market. But where the money is coming from, every year, the oil service is 1.3 billion. That's oil service. And this money included the no reach to South Sudan, and they call cost oil. And this 1.3 billion in the hand of South Sudanese contractors. They cannot build this country. But this money never reached in South Sudan. But it's a cost of oil. They go where? They go to China. They go to Eritrea, they go to anywhere they want. But if you ask the Chinese, they don't know the language you talk about. So I'm very grateful with the presentation, and the plan is good. But like I'm saying, I cannot ask too much questions. The people are supposed to ask, they are not here. You're not going to give me a good answer in that. But give me Arbeit like a South Sudanese. Don't give up. Let us fight. Let us get our right until we get where we want to go. This all belongs to us.
It's very exciting. So everyone will get an opportunity. You're only getting in the way of your lunch the longer you talk. So if you want to talk, you don't want to get in the way of your lunch. Okay, so let's make it brief. Everyone who has their hands up, we will give you an opportunity so we can go to lunch. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you. My name is Chris Olent. I work for Brand Portal Group. I have just a few comments. First of all, on the presentation that you have given. The first one is that there's an issue of flow of information within the region, and this factor has to be considered. I believe that with good flow of information, the people within the region would have access to know about investment opportunities. I would love to see somebody in a deep village in Burundi have access to know information about investment here in South Sudan and the vice versa. That's my only comment.
Thank you very much. My name is Lomaeling Edward, member to Chiefs Council, at the same time private sector. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. I really thank ICGL for these wonderful things. I have only two things that I need to ask. We have been trying our ways for a good number of time, but we look into that without a good governance and the democracy in this country, all our money is even. We've been trying all these years to penetrate the market, but we lost ways. A lot of risk that we incurred, typically because nobody is to tell us exactly how this country is supposed to go. Particularly, the private sector through the chamber has been trying all these things. A lot of integrations has been done, and a lot of different integration institutions have been in this country. But what are we gaining out of all this integration until today? This is something which every one of us will be carrying in this room. So it is good for us to be guided with the proper governance so that we follow exactly what the government wants the private sector to do. Because at the end of the day, we risk, but we incur a lot of losses in every day and every minute in this country. So that's only input that I wanted to put, because all that we'll be talking and we'll be putting in plate, we may not materialize at the end of the day. So without the good governance and all directions of how the investments must go in this country, then the government will be doing a lot in that specific things. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Madud Madouad. I am an officer of immigration. I will make a small comment on visa issue. In South Sudan, we have a visa policy whereby we have these countries that come to our country and get a visa at arrival. And we have other countries that should make application in the embassies in the country close to them. On investment, you have to register the company first so that it could be known, and there are procedures that you could follow through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Once you are registered and you are known that you are bringing investment to South Sudan, I don't think there are complications to come to South Sudan. So just follow the policies when you are the company, so that when you are registered properly and we know what are you coming to do in our country, you will be allowed to come and do your investment. Thank you.
My name is Deng Deng Nial. I'm the ambassador of Republic of South Sudan in the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi. First of all, I would like to, there's an echo here. First of all, I would like to thank this conference, Ambassador Antipas Nyok, Parek Madud, the researcher and development coordinator in Burundi, Bujumbura, and the attendants. On a positive note, this is the first ICGLR conference of its kind. All questions will not be answered today. The missing representatives from the different institutions are not here today, but as we go along, I think they will be included. Even Robert Lado, the chairman of the South Sudan Land Commission, will be here. Abraham Aliat should have been here, and we can bring all the others. So, Mr. Bolbol, I let you can ask these questions. We understand that, but I think we should understand that this forum is extremely important. Well, the comment that I would like to give, or the advice, is in terms of the ICGLR, since we have the representative here in South Sudan, is coordination with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and, of course, the new Ministry of Investment, as well as Justice, and to bring all the relevant institutions into this forum, and then we can move forward. Now, when it comes to the infrastructure, projects are very important. What am I doing here? I'm the head of mission of the Embassy of South Sudan in Abu Dhabi. His Excellency the President came in April 22nd, signed 2 agreements and 3 MOUs. I am here to follow up on these agreements, trying to bring the foreign direct investment into this country. The other thing is to have a business center in South Sudan whereby people can be trained, as she was talking about, the SMEs, giving our people the knowledge and how to start a business, how to invest in SMEs. The issue of the capital, and as you said, Parek, before that we have a limited capacity, we cannot discuss the issue of finances and the economy, right? And that is whereby it will be discussed at the government level. But I think in terms of the private sector, I think it's very important. We don't have a vibrant private sector as of now. All of you know that. The government has to have a partnership with the private sector. So those are the issues I think, Parek, you could be discussing, and expanding this forum I think will be very helpful. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Becky Aledo. I'm a business lady. Actually, I would like to do some comments here about the investment. I think as a South Sudanese, we should not blame the government that much, because we are already investing a lot in East Africa. South Sudanese businessmen here are investing a lot outside. Charity begins at home. If you cannot do that, then there's no possibility of investors to come in. So charity begins at home. We are wasting $1 million buying the houses, buying plots in different. Why don't you do it here? Implement it in your country. Build schools. Build roads. I don't think government have an issue here. If you're a citizen and you have possibilities of having rights, if you start with something that will be helpful for your country, I don't think the government will interfere. That's my comment. The few ladies or the few women that have interest for their own country have no capital. And that's what I know most. From the investors coming in, there are the main reasons, and there are the main issues that you should address. So I don't know what is the main point, the main problem that you should handle first. And then later, we can address that. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm called Jock Polino. I wanted to thank Sparek for the presentation. It was really one of the nice presentations I attended. All protocol observed, all the audience agreed you. My comment is going to be in a small, all the activities or the action plan of ICGLR are really perfect. And I'm seeing them implemented all in one of our institutions in South Sudan, which is Juba University. Juba University studies, there is a college of peace and development, which is have more departments on the areas where as ICGLR are really focusing. I will advise them to try to link with Juba University, Peace and Development College, because there's a diplomacy department, there's humanitarian department, there's also economic, there's also security studies. All of these areas are linked to your action plan. And with Juba University, you will find the real scholars whom will help you in many research of the areas you want to know about South Sudan. So my advice is you guys visit Peace and Development College and try to talk with them. There's many knowledgeable people around. There's many lecturers. There's many people who can help you by data collection and information. And there's people who are idle also, who finish their studies, doesn't know what to do. You can also recruit them to be part of you to help in your program in South Sudan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Akwach Ajang, the National Chairperson of Civil Society Alliance, and I'm a Deputy Chairperson for the Civil Society for the Great Lake regions in charge of peace and security. This is a third function I'm attending for the ICGLR. We had the first one in Crown Hotel, it was in 2015. We had parliamentary caucuses visiting us from the 12 countries, and we benefit from them. I want to appreciate the presentation, and I want to thank the ambassador for the invitation. My contributions were touched by previous speaker, because my focus in the 5 areas is peace and security. The second priority for the civil society in this country is democracy and good governance. When we talk about peace, we have been involved in peace negotiation as civil society since 2014. We have signed as witness for the current peace agreement. So we have achieved something at least. So our focus here, let us maintain the peace. Let's work hard to make sure that the peace agreement is implemented. Then we will benefit from peace and security. Of course, as a business community, you cannot talk about investment or marketing when there is insecurity in the country. The good statements and contribution that you made this morning on regard to development, you cannot build schools, hospitals, roads when people are fighting. So what we need first is to have peace and security in the country, and that's where I need your support. The citizen of this country and the region. We need to implement the peace agreement that we have. On regard to democracy and good governance, my previous colleague, the previous speaker, he talked about issues of good governance. Of course, the opposite is bad governance that involve corruption, injustice, inequality, fighting, raping, and the list is very long, including the looting, because we don't have corruption in South Sudan. We don't have embezzlement in South Sudan. What we have in our country, it is a looting. So you can see how we are suffering in this country. I was touched by some statement from the business community. They spoke very well. And I agree with both opinions from both sides. In South Sudan, we enjoy a lot of books, policies, statements, but they are not in use. They are not practical. We have a constitution, very good constitution, good laws. They are not enforced. So we need to work together to enforce the laws. For example, in this country, people steal millions of dollars, and the punishment is that they are relieved from their positions, they go home, enjoy with those millions. So I call it a retirement plan. You steal $1 million, and your punishment is that you are sacked from your position. You are not going to prisons. So when a punishment is less than a reward, of course, the entire public become thief. This is what we are facing in this country, and we need to change that. There's a statement in Arabic, they say in Arabic, المال في يد الجاهل كالنار في يد الطفل. What does it mean? The resources or money that are being handled by illiterate people, they are like a fire in the hands of a baby. The majority of businessmen, the most richest people in this country, who are they? I bet we know them. Who are they? If we talk about also investment, you want to compete, of course. Then there are criteria, there are eligibility for you to invest, whether a local investor or a foreigner. You have to meet those eligibility or criteria. Instead, our people here, I don't think they can even compete in the region because you don't have capacity. Some do not have resources. And those who have resources, where do they get it from? It's just a blank white paper that a businessman will write to the government seeking for a contract. Tomorrow you are given a contract, coming to the Ministry of Finance with slippers, no coats. You are given $1 million tomorrow, you become a rich man in this country. And you don't know what to do with money. After all, you get it very easy. To conclude, let us work together. The business community, the civil society, and all the people of South Sudan. This is our country. Nobody will fix it. No matter how you cry, let's work together. Let's bring good governance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This young man has his hand up. We get his question.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Sebur Antipas Nyok. The presentation was so good. I really like it. Especially, it's good that we are so many young people here who are so interested in startups. First of all, as a startup in South Sudan here is one of the most impossible things you can ever think about. Like the young people now, you think of a business idea, you have a whole team to implement it, but when you get into where you get the funding, just like my brother somewhere, they said he went to the bank, gave in the land, they didn't give him a loan, the idea dies. And what does it mean for our local private sector? Region as a Great Lakes, we joining it, we are required to have something to offer. Now, if starting up is impossible locally here, what do we offer the market at large, like Great Lakes? What do we have to offer? Because we cannot just go there walking and we said we are joining the Great Lakes just to feed on what we buy from them. That's not sustainable completely. Lastly, South Sudan as a whole, like in this conference, is so good that we're here. Things to do with the balancing of our trade is very important. Today, we buy everything almost from East Africa right now. Now, buying everything from East Africa, when we have nothing to offer, completely shows we are empty-minded. And some of these people, when you complain with them, they even insult you. Someone sold us water somewhere here in Lologo just a few days ago. We were insulting him, why this price is too high, go back to your country, you Ethiopian. He told us he's selling only our water, so who is the fool here? So basically, we need to think about this as South Sudanese. Let us support the startups like we should be supported so that we can compete with these foreigners. Now, Chamber of Commerce should come in here when we are started and then protect us, the local industry. How do we protect us? How do you protect us? Give us tax break and tax those people highly. They will run away by themselves. We're not going to chase them by force. Thank you so much. It's true that we can compete in the region as South Sudan.
Thank you very much. That's a very good wrap-up of this, this whole discussion, because that's the spirit that we want from our people, identifying the problem. I think we are very good at identifying. Okay, yeah, I'll give them, you will wrap up, sir. I just want to say that, the whole idea of the meeting is to bring out these concerns from everybody and allow us to have this discussion. We are very good at identifying the obstacles in our way, but we need to move beyond the obstacles to identify the solutions. So it's a great first step. Let's leverage this discussion forward. I encourage all of you to set up your own forums. The women entrepreneurs, the youth of the ICGLR, the catering and hospitality industry people. Everyone, you try to bring people in the same room. It doesn't have to be a fancy hotel like this. You can do this in your own business premises, wherever you meet, even in your evening places. This is how you will be able to move forward, together with others. I think one last point that I wanted to make is that South Sudanese entrepreneurs, by definition, are solitary. They like to work alone. Everyone thinks that, if I start a company and I do my own thing and I hide all my plans, and I do it undercover at night, I'm going to become a millionaire, and then I take care of my friends. But that will not happen. You need to be transparent about what you want to do, and you need to use the talents of others, because you don't have all the skills you need. But bring people along with you and tell them, can we tackle this problem? And you'll be able to actually succeed. And you don't have to be a millionaire by yourself. Be a millionaire with your friends. Doing it alone will not take you far. I want to give the ambassador and also Ambassador Situna.
Thank you. I will comment on the two issues. One of them is the visa. Because the visa, it has a regulation. And it is very simple. If you are really a registered company and you have all the documents and you apply, I think in our mission, because there is some places where we have our embassies, there is some places we don't have embassies. The places where we have embassies, they will not take time to give you a visa. But in the area where we don't have our embassies, you will ask for the visa on arrival. And that one also, it takes time. But it's not take that long time if your paper is really complete. And I want to just to tell the people of diaspora, everybody in the diaspora want to come with investors. And when they come, they don't, before they come even, they don't identify. Is it he is really investor or he's a trader? Because many of these people who comes here, they are traders. They're not investors. The investor, he will have his own company registered in the country there and certified by the authority in that country. And it would be certified, his document with our mission in that country. And after that, he can come as an investor. But when you come as with a trader, that is not investment. Thank you.
Let me take this opportunity to thank all who have contributed significantly to the presentation of Comrade Parek. This is a very good exercise. For your information, we are undergoing a process of nation building. And undergoing a process of nation building is not a one-day event. So I'm glad and particularly happy for us to have this opportunity to brainstorm among ourselves how best we can try our luck to build our country. And building a country is two sides. One is a public sector, and the other one is a private sector. Public sector is being run by the government. Private sector is being run by our investors and our traders. Majority of people we have here are actually traders who can develop their capacity in the long run to be actually the investors. Because an investor is supposed to have a big chunk of money in bank, and they have a lot of companies, factories all over the country. Alinda na hena tijarin, lekin ma musmarin be darja dag. But because we are a young nation and we have that low fizol into hotel wahid, we should know, we call them investors. Lahadi yom nina na kunida na investors. Land fi Sudan, if you are a tabuke na kun faraj gul ya dictor, Lita Bishakal Magade, secretary fi Maktab Belgade, they call them Molana, you know, and all these kind of things. But we console ourselves, as Comrade Akwe, we call them our investors. Land mind and much more than that. This is all that we have. But fi Musakbal in the future, I think we will have them. So we encourage them, I encourage them so that they develop their capacity to become our future investors. But for a time being, they can be a good traders. All that we need to do, contribution into Amalto, is excellent. We have few main challenges, and I agree with Comrade Akwe before, that really all that we need to invest in South Sudan, first and foremost, is to invest in peace and security. Once we invest in peace and security, so that we have peace and we have law and order, the rest of things will come automatically. Our traders will be able to freely moving from Renk to Capoeira, to Awil, to Raja, and all these places. It is about mobility of people, the goods and knowledge that we can be able to create an investment environment. So this is the one first thing that we need to invest in, peace and law and order. And that is a responsibility for all of us. Even if we have some few traders, we have some many, you try to invest in peace. Inshallah, in one county or in one state, you involve in paying for training of law enforcement agencies in particular state, then you have invested in peace, so that tomorrow you can be able to do something. So that one is very good. The other aspect, our main challenge, are actually financial institutions. Financial institutions in a sense that we need credible banks. Credible banks, so that if you have ideas and you don't have money, then you put in your plan. Then you apply to the bank, you can be given a loan. And that loan will help you to do something. Because in this country, there are two groups of people. There are people with good ideas, but they don't have money, and there's nowhere they can get money. There are people with no idea at all, but they have a lot of money that you cannot believe. They have nothing to do with it. And this is what I call before domestication of corruption. Somebody asked me during the tea break that what do you mean by domesticating corruption? And I told him that I assume corruption like to be a wild, I presume that it is a wild animal, Haywan muftaris, that's just like a lion. If you have a lion and you want to make use of the lion, sometimes you can tame that lion. You can domesticate it to be just like a dog and like a cat and like other things. So this corruption is becoming wild in our society, like a wild animal. So we need to domesticate it in such a way that if you get some of your money through corruption, don't go and buy weapons, don't buy knives, don't buy fungus so that you come and kill people with it. You use this money, invest them in agriculture, produce a lot of food, bring the food to the market. People will eat, and they will have a low price, you know. And you will employ some people to go for weeding and so on. Then you inject some money, and then the government will also tax you. We mean in this manner, we would have benefited from such money obtained through those procedures. Now, some people have a lot of money because they don't have ideas, they don't know what to do with it. They go and bank it outside, and you know who will be benefiting from this money? These are international financial oligarchies. People of other places, they will take your $1 million, they will loan it to thy people, and then they will do thy business, and then they will prosper. And for you, you sit lavish here without anything. So lofizol into gurush beto, give gurush and then you invest at home. So, but nevertheless, let us not crawl down, cry, and do a lot of things or laminate a lot. But what I know, we are in the process of nations building. And nation building, anything new in this world can suffer. If you are small, if you are new in something, you will suffer. You know, like a child, when a child is born today, this child have something called infantile disorders. An infant always have some disorders. Sometimes babul tehet, mabar bakul cave, and a lot of things. Can even get the sand, eat anything around. Lanu or Lisa. The same thing when you are new, of course, we are a nation, but we are not that young, and we are not that what. Only that it is an attitude. So let us tame our attitude in such a way that we love our nation. Nehib dawla betana. Haja basiri ni tamulu lazim ta duk sodorogu tehib dawla betak. They are haja mahim. And then the rest of things will be okay. We hope that there will be peace in our country. There will be a good governance, one day, one time, and then everything else will be okay. You know, who could imagine that Rwanda, Bukun fi Malu Guide Fogoda, who could imagine one day, one time, now Rwanda is leading in the whole of East Africa, or even in some parts of, better than many African countries, in terms of law and order, in terms of governance, in terms of everything. So Talama, Rwanda, bigger quays, we hope that we shall be one day heaven, a piece of heaven on earth. Thank you very much.
We can give our guest of honor the last word before we proceed to lunch.
Thank you very much. I apologize because I had a meeting with the Vice President, Madame Nyandeng. I didn't want to miss that chance. First of all, I really appreciate you and congratulate you, Parek Madod, for what you have done at the level of ICGLR. What I want to share with the audience here is for what we can do for our country. Now, as young people, entrepreneurs, you have to know what is in your country. That's number one. Know your country well. Number two, you must know what you have in your country. And what you need now, is peace, security for us to deliver services to our people. And that means to embark on a consolidated development. You need peace and security. So let us all commit ourselves to bring peace. Peace, as he said by Ambassador Nyok, is now at home. We are now still talking to the non-signatories in Rome. We want to bring them on board so that everybody in the family of South Sudan achieve peace. So we need all your contribution. What do we have? He told us in his lecture, we have areas of energy, you have agriculture, you have mining, you have infrastructure, all these areas. So you ask yourself, what can you do in this area to promote development in your country? And you have a lot of chances. That's why I think our government should lead in this. What you do when you are in a country where you have no citizens in the private sector. We don't have. But we have the minds that can do that. So I think, as he was talking of the issue of banks, when we came in 2005, there were no real banks here except agricultural bank without agricultural projects in South Sudan. But within a short time, we started to have 28 banks. But what are they doing for our people? I think the government should lead in that. I believe if our government establishes what they call the risk money for development. If you have a project, you have an idea, which is a business idea, I think the government should take the risk of lending you that money. You give it to your citizen. If they are 100, I am sure out of 100, 40 will succeed, but the other 60 will go and marry a second wife or a Mercedes-Benz or all that sort of. But you will have 40 of them will succeed. We tried in the Ministry of Commerce, when I was Minister of Commerce, and we got some money from the UN, and we gave it to about 40 men and women. We were giving each one of them a very good amount of money, $20,000 in 2009. Of all those 40, the women succeeded in their projects. They were able, actually, and they had good husbands, all right, but they succeeded, that money went well. On the men's side, we got half of them only managed. The other half went and used the money for something different altogether. So let us have risk money, which the government, through the banking system, can loan to people with credible projects. And you pass it through the bank because the bank can control that money, how it can recover it. So I think we need to campaign for that so that next time when peace is here, these young entrepreneurs must be encouraged. There is a Nigerian businessman. What do you call him, Simon? What? Dan Kote, whatever you call him. He was actually lending money to young entrepreneurs across Africa. And some of them, meeting them about after a year or so, some of them came back and they were millionaires. It's practical. So this is something we need to do. Why I say you should know your country you have agriculture. Now we are building the roads. I'm not lying. You can see one is being done. Now these roads should make you think of agriculture. It is practical. So we build the roads. Go and look for a land. Embark on agricultural projects to keep our people in the villages. Now, why do you think we have tribalism? Not because South Sudanese are tribalists, no. We have only, how many? 25 ministries? 28. For example, when I was in Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we had about 800 officials. Muwazzafin, fogu sufra, fogu mudirin, fogu nas bitai shai, fogu kulu, 800. The population in South Sudan is what? 12 million, 13 million. Now, so when you are in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they beg you, so you will employ a few. And people sometimes, they begin with the people they know. Kala tumtumia de kalas. Yomkin waziri nag denkawi, wala bariawi, wala nuerawi, wala zandawi. Bukunu indu shoi zande, wala shoi nuer, wala shoi dinka. And then bagit gabal de yam showen. Lama yeji ala. Marasala min gabil bita wazir. Ala bita chai min bita shu. Not because of tribalism. There are limited jobs. Very limited. 800, you want 12 million competing for it. That's what it means. So what we need to do is to have private sector to create companies so that our people can get the jobs they want. Government cannot give you jobs. America is very powerful. They are not all working in the State Department. They are not in the White House. But they are working with the companies, getting even more money. So we need to promote, use our resources to promote private sector so that we have companies, so that our people will get jobs. This tribalism will disappear. You see? Because if you are working, getting good salary, going somewhere, your life is safe, your family is okay, young people are happy, they can afford a coffee in a hotel like this, they can come and drink coffee. Who will bother the government? Nobody. Even tribalism you'll not fear. And our women, by the way, are very good. They don't look at you at your tribe. They look, if you are a good guy, fine. You see, it's not an issue of your tribe. So these are some few things I wanted to share with you, that you look much wider. It's important. Let us encourage investment. Let us know what we have and how we can exploit it so that we create jobs for our people and develop our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Barnaba and everyone, for this fruitful discussion.